Me say my people, you don't know say run a better value zine, may I wait some flour. And me tell the Chinese them say rat bitey zine, and them say yo for weigh and sell the people them right run a better value all over. And true, me say me now weigh, he fire me and get tired of you for weigh. So hope all police see this. So if you don't see me, or don't know if you want to go in a better value store, if me missing, remember them threaten me, several threaten. Alright. Yeah, my people see the better value. You see it, guys. And then start to say, we are not for them place the rice come from, you see me? And I try to get some people for back them up, say, yeah, rice not come from there. Oh God, man, me attack with tears in my eye. Eh? And my heart a bleed, couldn't be a cockroach, look on the place where it's dirty and crying and crying. Eh? Jesus Christ, people can sick. People don't know go back around there. Only need to share the video, could they? A be a cockroach, maggage. Out of floor room, as you look at ground, consist of floor upon the ground. Oh God, Jesus Christ. Look there, they must spray. People see there, see right pit them there, worm and weeble. Zine, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security and the Health Inspector must see this. Please, me, I'm going to show you that video. Run a better value all over town. Don't buy nothing around there.
People. Que pasa, suck, say what they do. Welcome to Crime Time News, where the difference is in the Med Scarlet News with a buzz. The video that you saw, don't know if this is a disgruntled worker that got fired, so therefore he is exposing the truth and reality. Whether that is the case or not, that is actually the reality of most of these wholesale places in most of these garrison that is managed, owned by these people from the infrastructure place. Most of them are dirty. Most of them are filthy. Most of them are infested with all sorts of critter, meaning roach, all sorts of rats, all sorts of stuff. So whether or not this man have a vindictive feeling or not, that is the harsh reality of Jamaica and most of these wholesale places. So we have to ask the question, most importantly, isn't there any sort of health inspector in Jamaica? Isn't people's health very important? That means them not consume any sorts of stuff that are contaminated, that is going to hurt you, that is going to kill you. This is not isolated to just food items. This is also as it pertains to medication. A lot of the stuff that they are selling, things that people are ingesting, taking in their system to make them feel better, make them feel well. The fact is this: most of what is in it has nothing to do with your ailment. It is just a lookalike. It is all about monetary gain. Very importantly, when person's agenda is money, money is the motive. That person would do anything to increase his or her bottom line. That means the profit margin. That means if them not forget up every day, they make sure so them sweep, they make sure so them dash away anything that is contaminated, then that is exactly what they are going to do, especially when they are not monitored, when there is no sort of health inspector. When the government of Jamaica give them a free-for-all, when the customs authority allow these people for bringing fake this, as in medication, things that are not proper, things that are mostly chemically made up, that is not good for you, that will poison, that will kill you. These people have no reason for stopping. These people know that them can set up shop down a town in some sorts of garrison where people just throw away all sorts of garbage out of them yard. And that also adds to the amount of roaches, the amount of rats that are in the place. So therefore, infestation. So what is going to happen when you as an establishment have food going in, coming out, there is where the rats and the roaches are going to want to reside. However, if you implement the proper stuff, as in storing the food, as in make sure say you spray the place on a regular basis, you will avoid that. However, when you do that, what you do is increase your expenses. These people are not about any sorts of expenses. Now, I understand the reality is that a lot of people living in this community, them feel as if them don't have any sorts of option. So therefore, the price is good. However, you cannot be penny wise and pound foolish. Like me say, I understand the reality of the situation. So my point is this: the people that work at these places need to expose them, and I understand that you risk losing your job. And I understand you are thinking that, listen, I have to feed my picnic, I have to take care of my bills, so therefore, me not going to expose anybody. Me not going to be the one to come out and talk and play a sorts of hero and end up playing zero, because the blogger or the relevant authority is not going to do anything for me. That is why you have the whistleblower amendment, in which if people come out and talk and expose what is going on. Do you realize the billions of dollars that is spent in a healthcare when people consume stuff that is not good for their health, as in the type of stuff that a lot of these people are selling? People, like me say, whenever money is the motive, people will do just about anything to save a buck. It is all about lining their pocket. It is all about profit, profit, profit. More money, more money, more money. And this just does not apply to just the stores them in the garrison either. Because best believe, some of these big stores, not going to call no name, they too are buying from these people, even though they might package it better and even though they might store their stuff better. However, when you get it from the source and the source is already contaminated, it does not matter what you do after that. Whatever you put in is what you get out. Point blank and period. So people may just say, thanks to this man, don't know his agenda, don't know if it is because of vindictiveness. However, the undisputed facts are just the facts. The reality is the reality. This is what is going on in a lot of places. It applies to these garrison wholesalers, and it also applies to the big places. People, all me can say, Jamaica is in a very bad, bad place. Money is always the motive in what people do. So people will sell you stuff, so therefore you will buy it at the garrison, and it is for a lesser price. You will go to these uptown stores and you buy it. Yes, there's a lesser chance of anything, because a lot of times they too make sure so them implement the right sort of stuff, but sometimes they mix and mingle. So therefore, the good sources and the bad sources, you don't know, you will never know when you're buying from the good source or the bad source until you get sick or even worse, your DEAD. Point blank and period. Further on in the news, it is called some of these po from the JCF, them dark, them dunce, them lack common sense, them lack discretion. I'm speaking about an incident that took place where there was some sorts of accident. You know that the po are going to block off the road, make sure so everything is in order before them release the traffic. There was a young lady, she's an EMT, she working at the emergency service with the ambulance. She was transporting a patient and their family, or his family, to the hospital. She got caught up in the traffic. While she was there, waiting like most people, there was somebody behind her, a motorist behind her. That person was having some sort of heart attack on the spot. She tried to render some sort of assistance. When she realized that the situation was getting from bad to worse, She walked up to the front where the Pope had blocked off the place, explained the situation in intricate details. However, this officer did not have common sense, did not have discretion, was too much in his feelings, was not properly trained, lacked professionalism. It was not just one officer, also his superior. I am going to let this lady explain everything to you, exactly what took place, and then I'll give my piece.
Alright, so listen to this. Alright? Last night, I come from hospital with a patient in the back of my unit, in the back of the ambulance. It's a privately owned ambulance, and we only service one specific area because we're contracted to them. Right? I'm bringing a patient home. It was not an emergency. There was an accident on the road out by Rosal, the Rosal Highway. Somewhere out there, so one accident happened on the road. Somebody got hit and they died. Rest in peace to them. This is not about them. Right? Condolences to their families. Where based on where I am in the traffic, police just come on the scene and lucky off, I said nobody now pass. They must secure the scene until, whosoever come, probably take up the body or examine the scene. Fine. We don't need to pass. We're not in a hurry. Again, it is not an emergency. So we don't have no siren, just our emergency lights are on. A man directly behind us, driving a privately owned vehicle, come knock on the window and ask we if we can take the person in his car to the hospital because they're actively having a stroke. I say, fine. No, we can't because we have a patient here in the back of the unit. So I said, there's nothing that you can do. I said, no, I can't take the patient, but I can go up to the front and ask the police if they can allow us to pass, me and you to pass, because I will turn on the siren, turn on the emergency lights and allow us to pass because you're having a stroke. I went and I looked at the lady, I examined her, and I just, based on how she looked, she was having a stroke. Her face was drooping. She had numbness in the arm, in one side of her body. She was losing feeling in the arm completely. And her consciousness, her level of consciousness was declining. Fine. I took her vitals, checked her oxygen levels, yada, 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 before I went up there to see the police. I go up there to see police, them, I'll go stutter because I know I'm still in shock. I go up there to the police and I said, hi, my name is such and such. Good night. I'm an EMT. The flashing lights that you're seeing down there, I'm in the back of that unit with a patient. My patient is not having an emergency, but somebody directly behind the ambulance is actively having a stroke. Can you allow us to pass? The man said, do you have sirens on? Does your vehicle have sirens? He said, yes. I said, yes. He said, okay, we recognize the emergency sirens. You can pass. I said, can the person behind us pass? He said, you have to take that person and put them in an ambulance so that they can pass. I said, no. I explained the situation to him, explained to him where I work and who is in the back of my ambulance and that there's a family in there. I cannot take up a patient. However, the person behind us, there's somebody driving the vehicle. It's not the person that's having the stroke that's driving, There's somebody driving. Can you come and direct us out, because it wasn't far back in the traffic, so that they can pass? The man said, no. So I say, who is in charge here? The same time, the big old man with the big old face come and ask what is happening. I tell him what is happening. He said, no, you can't pass. So I said, let me get this straight. I am telling you, right, that there's somebody in the back of a vehicle right now actively having a stroke. And if you know nothing about stroke, people, if you don't know about stroke, let me tell you, within the first hour of you having the stroke is the most critical hour, because brain cells, they do not regenerate. So if there's extensive damage done during a stroke, that whatever damage is done is irreversible. If them hand now move and their hand stop work because that side of the brain is damaged, no oxygen, whatever, that is it. when me tell us that when me go back around there, the lady face is like this. And her right arm is like this to her chest, and I tried to move it and it wouldn't move. So you know, say it is progressing pretty fast. And I went back up there and the man tell me, say, lady, you can turn on your siren and leave, but nobody else cannot drive behind you and leave. People, that makes sense? I am so upset. That means I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go send no video, but here what the man tell me, say, if I turn on my siren, even though I explain to him, you know, say I'm not having an emergency, so I don't really need to bypass traffic, because my patient understands, say, hey, there was an accident in the road, we might be here for a few minutes. And them say, all right. You go tell me, say, all right, you turn on the siren, you can't leave because we recognize the emergency vehicle. We recognize emergency vehicles and their sirens, so you can pass. But the person behind you who is actively having a stroke, have you sit down and wait? So I sat there and I waited with them in the traffic, just continuously checking for them. Thank you to my patients for allowing me to just go and do that. So I was just checking on her, because when you're having a stroke, there's nothing I can do as an EMT in Jamaica. There's absolutely nothing I can do but get her to the nearest facility as fast as possible and continue monitoring her vitals until we get there. Nothing. We're in traffic. We did it for about a good half an hour. People, half an hour. So the last time I checked on the lady, she could not speak to me. When I went to her at first, she could tell me her name, her speech was slurred, whatever. The last time, which is about 5 minutes before they let us pass, which is when they release everybody, you know, everybody. 5 minutes before they let us pass, she could barely speak to me. She could barely speak to me. Yo, mate. And this is why I feel like the Jamaican Constabulary Force need to be retrained, because there is no way me can't tell her that. I go tell me, say, no, you can pass, but them have to sit down and wait. Brother.
Now, people, this is my disclaimer before I proceed. Because of the impatience and mentality of the people of Jamaica, sometimes I go hear people and make up all sorts of excuse. And to himself, he might have thought that maybe this person I use Sykes because they want to go about them business. So therefore, he would allow the ambulance emergency vehicle for pass. However, he stood fast, or they stood fast, and not letting a next vehicle go through. However, what they did not do is go and validate or verify if indeed somebody was having some sorts of serious situation, as in a heart attack, which it is. They did not thought within themselves. Common sense did not tell them. Professional training did not tell them. Don't know if it is a part of the staff order or protocol order. Them never go look just to validate or verify. Because maybe if they did, maybe if they took the time. But people, what I realize with a lot of these officers, it seems as if them rebellious on the job. It seems as if they are just there to hustle, just there to get the shift over, do as less work as you can within that 10 or 12 or 8 hour shift, and get the FUCK out of Dodge. There's a thing that is called common sense. There's a thing that is called discretion. Most importantly, there's a thing that is called unusual circumstance. So therefore, when you assess and analyze each situation individually, then you can make a conscious decision. But you have to get the facts. You have to actually walk and leave where you are, walk a couple of meters or tens of meters and see. This is a life that is probably on the line due to a heart attack. This person had the chance to leave and reach the hospital at a quick time. Maybe that person would not suffer a stroke or have a less intense stroke, as in one of your limb, as in your face, as in can't talk. But because of the decision or lack of decision making process of this officer, that is what happened to that person. People, this is sad. There is no sort of sympathy, no sort of conscience anymore. People are just cold and callous. Not the criminals, also the cops. Point blank and period. So anyways, people, thanks once again for checking out my video. If you appreciate videos like this, please show your appreciation by liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing to my channel. That is how YouTube promotes videos like these to like-minded, sensible persons like yourself. Bless up.